Hi, I'm Jennifer Stein. Welcome to Mainline MUFON and our new series here at Radnor Channel 21. Today I have a very unique and special guest with me, which I'm really honored to bring to the Mainline area. His name is Stephen Redding. He lives in Green Lane, Pennsylvania, and he has had some of the most unique experiences of near death. Stephen has had over 15 of these experiences, and he writes about them in 2 books, which he has published. His first book was called Something More, and this so touched people that many people wrote him. He started a public speaking series, and he ended up writing a second book called More or Less. Stephen's experiences started when he was quite young. When he was about 4 or 5, he had a near-death experience when his father ran over him with a tractor. He was frozen at one point in his younger life. He's been struck by lightning. He's been in auto accidents and been in comas. And each time he's had the miraculous experience of coming back from the death experience. And each time he has brought new gifts from that experience with him. So Mainline MUFON, the organization which I host locally in the Radnor area, is very pleased to have him present again for us this month. And we're very happy to have him here at Radnor Studio for an interview for the public as well. So I'd like to welcome Stephen to our show. And I'd like to jump right in and ask you to explain for our listening audience some of the gifts of this experience, or these multiple experiences. There's been an insight that has changed your perspective about life. And I'd like you to elaborate a little bit for the listening audience and what that's been like for you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Happy to be here. There have been several gifts of significant importance. Some that I wasn't aware of in that first dying experience of the farm accident. But over a period of time and several more of these accidents, I really came to realize that it doesn't end here. Life didn't start here, and it doesn't end here. That beyond this life, there can be more life. And along with that, there are more than this room in our house of life, meaning that there are other realities and worlds to which we belong. And as many have suspected for a very long time, we are not alone. It is such a gift. I also became aware throughout these series of accidents that even though for a period of time when another world or reality opened to heal me or to keep me or to turn me around, that I still lived. I was still conscious. I knew who I was. And in some occasions, I could look back at terra firma, to the earth, and see my body there, either in a coma from bee stings, or laying on a highway, waiting for a helicopter, or smoking from a lightning strike. And I was cognizant. And at that point, perhaps the most beautiful gift of them all was to be aware that I lived before my body was placed upon me. And therefore, if I chose to live in life, I would live beyond the body. And what made that body so special was that I came to realize that it is a vehicle in which the essence of our life utilizes to pass through this world of existence. And existence occurs with certain designs, unlike some of the other worlds. I knew a place early on in these experiences, which I refer to as Yavunda. A world, if you can believe it, where death was not even known. Joy was in the air. And as much as we experience the yin and yang in this world of existence, it's not necessarily true in other designs, in other worlds. Because it is actually possible to know love without hate, and to know hope without fear. And it is also possible to be born in a place which is enduring, if not eternal. And what sets this world of existence apart from some of those is that we as peoples and living life systems carry with us the hope of parting yet one more horizon, so that the individuation or the individual existence experience and the promise of selfhood might be held up in equal eternal ways. This is such a time, such a beautiful opportunity. And I know there's many things that we have to be able to deal with, but life has always found a way. Life has crawled out from under many rocks and passed over many calamities. And it is a time that if we will refocus and realize that within us is an ancient wisdom, a knowing so powerful, which has been largely overlooked in recent history. We have deferred to science when we need to awaken again our intuition. We must allow our children their imagination and allow them to wonder. We must place value on our dreams. Gosh, such a large part of our day is spent dreaming. And it is an opportunity for us to be free of our mind and the weight of our body and transcend some of these other realities which surround our world. And you know, they're not so far away. I'll never forget meeting my recently passed grandpa and my recently lost cousin.
In a near-death experience?
In a dying experience where I was frozen to a fence. But while the farmer was finding me and cutting me out of that fence and taking me in his house to thaw, I was visiting with my grandpa and my cousin Keith in a realm or a reality very close to the surface of the earth. And there, under low illumination, many, countless phantom beings were gathered, sitting quietly. And I come to know at that experience that we are now the eyes and the hopes of all those who came before us. And that if we take care of ourselves, we take care of them also. And it's a beautiful thing to think that nobody really dies. If you have lived in life, she will know you. She will come for you. And those stories about familiar voices, warm hands, and angelic music are absolutely correct.
It's mesmerizing to listen to you speak. I know that from having you present before for our group at Mainline, but it's a pleasure. Again, I wanted to mention for the listening audience, I forgot to mention Stephen's website, which is www.stephenredding.com. And Stephen does something very unique for the public and anyone that goes to his website. He puts up regular video blogs, so anyone can watch ongoing messages which Stephen brings to the public. It's like his own little television station through his website. And as you continue in life and you have more unique experiences and more insights, you share them regularly, which I think is a great gift. I'd like to ask you, in reflecting about how consciousness is a continuum, and when you passed over into this near-death experience, you realized there was a continuum of life. And in many of your books, you have, or both of your books, you've touched on the fact that human consciousness is sometimes limited in the way we like to scientifically define the realities of our world. And your experiences sort of broke through that. Would you like to share with the listening audience a little bit how we need to be suspect of our own human consciousness and be willing to sort of step through, or maybe listen in new ways, or see with new eyes?
Yes. Let me go back to the beginning briefly.
Okay.
Because along with these gifts that we spoke about is the difficult but the real perception that we are all the same age. We were all there in that very first day when the impulse of creation broke into the night. And as the journey of life changed, we have changed with it.
So you're referring to Genesis, like the genesis of creation.
The evolution at that beginning. And by the way, it's very compatible with the Big Bang Theory. It's also very compatible with the idea of development and evolution. And yet, unlike our rational imperative, which victimizes the depth of our wonder by suggesting that we are here today because somehow, at some point in history, accidental energy met accidental matter, and through some fortuitous type convergence, here we are. But there's no accidents here. And as far as dealing with one of our lives as individuals, as we awaken to the fact that the wonder of it all is so amazing, we will also get that some things matter. And friends, if something matters, everything matters. So it's a matter of putting our place, our subjective nature, our sensuousness, and our consciousness into an evolving personal experience. And what I don't particularly care for in some of the emphasis of science, it essentially suggests that if you can't see it and you can't know it, it doesn't exist. But the mysteries are profound and deep. In fact, life is only a good place to be if you enjoy mystery. And so when science looks over the landscape, if it's subsurface or not seeable and knowable, it somehow looks past or diminishes its reality. But the only way we can appreciate the grandeur of a tree is to realize that all of that beauty, blossom, flower, and wood above the earth is sustained by something that's below the earth. So even though the instruments of science fits us with a lens that we sometimes don't even know we're using, and science has unclothed much, but it has also destroyed much. And it has so looked past the depth of life in so many ways. And it has given us a quiet sort of arrogance, which allows us to believe that we're more special. And so therefore the natural world is sometimes reduced to just a backdrop to a human-only endeavor. But friends, this journey of life that we are about resides in its destination, in its completeness, only when all the life from all the life systems is taken together as one beautiful breath in creation. And if we don't get that, we will continue to break down and wash out the very world that we are meant to live our lives upon. And the signs of loss and imminent doom are all around us. It's a sad thing to see the disappearing honeybees and the brown bats. And here in our locale, 3 major families of trees are in the death throes. The ash recently, the red oak family, and the elm. And to think that these very proud, long-lived, beautifully managed life systems are not alone and able to endure in the world that we live in today cries out for concern. And we, as a species, must be big about giving standing to all life systems. Now, it doesn't mean we're not special, but we're not more special. And our world and our life can ultimately only be special if it's all special.
I know that there are many authors today which are bridging the gap between consciousness and known reality, that are interfacing the link between synchronicity of events and discussing the overlap between a synchronistic event and that being part of a bigger trajectory of one's consciousness or one's life or one's vision. And that as we throw out our thoughts into the future, we draw to us the reality of our lives through those thoughts and desires. I'm hearing you speak, and I can perceive that you, through your life as well, through these near-death experiences and the gift of perception that these experiences have brought you, it has totally shifted your life, the way you go about life, the way you think about events that happen to you. And I'm sure you've come to the conclusion that there are almost no accidents, or if there are accidents, they're opportunities for new experiences to come to you. I'm going to ask you to, for the listening audience, to talk a little bit about how it's very easy to perceive life from a very limited perspective. And many of us need to just be willing to open those perspectives. And it's very hard to do because we don't know that our perspectives are closed. And I'm wondering if you think that people's willingness to surrender to their passions, whether it's gardening or doing flowers or painting or music, if these avenues of self-expression or appreciation of others' expression is an avenue you would consider valuable to open yourself to maybe the more subtle gifts of life that your experiences have given you. If we're not lucky enough to have the experiences that you have had, what's a way for the average person to maybe bring themselves more sensitively to the platform of their lives?
Well, that's a good question, and you nailed it. We have to acquaint ourselves again with our passions. We have to release the hold on the things of this world. We have to put no one or no situation outside our heart. And most importantly, perhaps, we can carry no judgments. These are the beginning of facing the right direction.
That's a hard one. Judgments and forgiveness is really a hard one for many of us.
Because it doesn't mean that as we move this vehicle of our bodies through this world that we don't discriminate. That's critical. But to hold lasting judgments separates and divide in a world of division. And the message today, the need today, is to reestablish connection between one another and the world that we share. And that means, and those boundaries are best mended and crossed when we again value who we are and involve the sensuousness of life, the touching, the feeling, and maybe we just don't hug enough. But to put more of that real, imminent, pertinent self into the mix. Because when we do that, we're guided by something that is beyond intellect, beyond words. It is a power. It's a power that has a magnetism to it, and the gardens grow, and a circle of friendships develop. And we find that it's just as much fun to gift our life as it is to try to secure it by holding on to the materials of this world.
When you say gift our life, like gift our passions or gift our abundance to others, or gift our joy.
Right, or even utilize a garden plot and gift some flowers to the universe. Because in this, we're sending out our radiance and ripples of good intentions. And life has a way of giving them back. They heal the wounded, they mend broken hearts, they lift the lonely, and it all comes back. And these are the bounty, the great bounty of the living experience. These are the enduring that carries us beyond this time and place. And if we will do those things, leaving here will be living on.
Real words of profound wisdom that you're sharing with us. For those of you who are just joining our program, I'd like to reintroduce our guest. It's Stephen Redding, who has written 2 books. One is called More or Less. This was his second book that he wrote. And the other book is Something More. Stephen has had very many profound experiences with life after death, having several near-death experiences and actual death experiences, and then coming back. And these experiences have shifted his consciousness very profoundly. And his mission now in life is to bring to the general public the insights that these experiences have given him. And we're very happy here on the main line to be able to host Stephen here in the Radnor studio and share and give him a chance to share his perspectives with the listening audience. And we're very happy to host you at Mainline MUFON. One of the other umbrellas that Mainline MUFON, which stands for the Mutual UFO Network, one of the other main umbrellas I hold up is the umbrella for the Noetic Science Organization, which was founded by Edgar Mitchell when he first went to the moon on the Apollo 14 missions. He came back and he was so profoundly shifted from this experience, seeing the Earth from above. And he knew that there was something he had to do in his lifetime, which was going to merge science and spirituality and change the way we languaged experiences so that he would be able to, in his lifetime, bring professionals together that would provide new insights to the scientific community, the academic community, and the general public as well. And he knew he was very unique with his experience as an astronaut. So I'm going to ask you to touch on the theme noetic. It's a word which is a Greek word, and it means to know or to have an inner sense of knowing. That's different than what you can learn throughout an academic career. It's almost a way of remembering. And I'm sure that these near-death experiences that you've had brought you to a precipice or brought you to a point where you realized you knew things that you couldn't explain how you knew. And what I think Edgar Mitchell wanted us to understand is that there is a way for us to step into that noetic state of consciousness. And so with that introduction, I'm going to ask you to speak about things that you discovered through these near-death experiences that brought you close to this new point in consciousness, and how that changed you. What does noetic, in a sense, mean to you in terms of your personal experience?
Well, I would like to comment to the degree that I understand the term and the word, but clearly some of the implication here is that within our reach is the deep-seated wisdom of the journey of life itself, and that through our leanings, which I could say as trust our gut, and I can also say that the intuitive knowing within us needs to be born again, because this is similar to the ancient wisdom that our science erroneously dismisses as instinct. And if it is instinct, it's a very powerful intelligence. But when we think of what that is that moves the salmon worldwide and brings them back to their spawning grounds, or lifts the butterflies upon their wings at a particular day and moves them over thousands of miles of migration, flawlessly finding their way. When we look at the wonderful management of life and these mysteries embodied in a tree, where is this heart that moves thousands of gallons of moisture throughout its veins? What holds them together beyond the geometrics of mechanics? What is it that they do so well that allows them to live for thousands and thousands of years? And in a kind and bountiful way, at the end of their life, when their body melts away, they have left so many gifts of wood, they have nurtured so many animals, and they have given to this world full breaths of oxygen. And you know what? Throughout their life, they have not taken anything from the earth. So I want to remind people, and what I mean by that is if you measure the soil under them, after 100 years, there would be 1 more inch of topsoil. All the water and carbon dioxide that is utilized is given back in beautiful ways. And the beautiful thing about this is that they have lived within the embrace of life. And we too are immersed in it. It's just a matter of recognizing it. We really don't have to be concerned about our destination, who we are, to be held in life's embrace. And if we will trust that unseeable but clearly present something that lives beneath the subatomic level of all things and within the submolecular level of all biology, we will know that there is something that is all-inspiring and caring, that has carried us for ages now on this remarkable journey, the journey of life. And this is a life of a world in existence where selfhood can be claimed, individuality can be pronounced, egos can be made kind, and perhaps most importantly, in this one last horizon, which speaks to my time being amongst you, is that we would come to a day where yesterday didn't matter and tomorrow didn't matter because today was never going away. I think that is the dream deep within the human psychic, and it's available to us. It's now a matter of replacing our lives in the context of the bigger life and knowing that we have this huge and endless value. The grandeur speaks from us in radiant ways if we only will.
Listen.
Yes.
Stephen, you have a wonderful farm up in the Green Lane area, and you occasionally create experiences for people to come and join you. We have just another minute or two left, but would you be willing to, take a minute or two and explain what these retreats are like? Because this is a way for the listening public to learn a little more and to have an experience where they can step into nature and spend a couple of days with you. So they can go to your website, stephenredding.com,
Yes.
and learn a little more about that. But you've run a few of these. Explain to us what they were like.
Yes, well, the theme is basically let's touch base with creation again. In the natural, unblemished world, it's a 35-acre property with a gem of a lake of 30-some feet deep. And people come and just connect. And some of the ceremonial aspects is a huge bonfire and music and good food.
And it's about, they can camp, they can come
Yes.
overnight.
Yes, and we tend to have two of these a year. One's the summer solstice, and the other is the fall harvest celebration. But yes, they are great fun and huge opportunities. And there'll be a few lessons and messages, but for the most part, we accept you as you are. Come as you are.
Wow.
And enjoy.
I haven't had the chance myself yet to have one of these great experiences, but I do plan to get up to the Green Lane area and have a chance to be on your farm. And I really want to thank you for coming to present to Mainline MUFON and for coming into the studio today and sharing your insights with us. And I really encourage anyone intrigued by anything that you've heard today to follow up with Stephen at his website, www.stephenredding.com, or to look for his books. If you're interested in an autographed copy, you can buy them through his website. And if you'd like to learn more about noetic sciences in the Mainline or anything about the UFO topic, please Google Mainline MUFON. It's right here in Radnor. We meet regularly at the Tredyffrin Public Library, and we'd very much like to meet you and have you here and listen to some of our programs. So thank you very much for joining us.